afternoon, good evening, because, well, we all are all around the world, and that is great. It's exciting and great. And well, in our fourth block of presentations, we are more than pleased to introduce the mentor, Dr. Eric Ekembe from Cameroon. And well, in this segment, we are going to listen to his mentees. And the dynamic is this. If you want to say something, Eric, as a mentor is great. Otherwise, we will start with 4 minutes presentation, yes, from all the researchers this morning. Meanwhile, I'm going to open to form the breakout rooms. You can, after the presentations, yes, enter with every researcher to make your comments, ask your questions and suggestions or interaction in general, just clicking on the name, yes, and you can pass through the rooms freely. And then after this interaction, we are coming back to the main room, yes, for wrapping up our discussions or learnings or experience today, yes. So without more, I don't know if there is any question or comment, please tell us. Now, otherwise, Eric, just up to you, yes, if you want to share.
Marisol, if you permit, I can try to reach out to my 2 other mentees on phone to find out why they are not yet in, because I just spoke with them 2 minutes ago and they told me they were getting set. So if you permit, let me just check with them why maybe they'll be having technical difficulties logging in.
Okay, thank you very much, Eric. If you would like to comment something before the presentation, otherwise, just let's continue with the researchers, please. I recall you 4-minute presentation.
Yeah, I'll just introduce the presenter and then he takes the floor. I would like to start with Sandra. Sandra is a teacher in Cameroon, and all of them are working in Cameroon, and some of them drive for over 2-3 hours to get to their workstation, and they're teaching very remote areas where access to electricity is very complicated, and even network, a low resource context, and low motivation. So I would like them to take the floor and tell their story. Marisol, do you want me to share the screen from a Padlet, the screen from a Padlet, or you want to do that?
Sure. Please, if you want to share the screen.
Great. Hello, Sandra. Can you hear me? You have to unmute yourself, Sandra.
Yes, sir. Great. I can hear you.
So I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Eric, thank you.
Can you see my screen? Good. So
yes, sir.
Look on Sandra's presentation. This is Sandra's presentation, please. Is it visible enough? Okay, so Sandra, you can start.
Thank you, sir, and thank you everyone for this opportunity. My name is Kwekam Sandra, and I'm a teacher in Cameroon. In my classroom, I have mostly Francophone students, and they're very young and they have a very low level in English. So the problem I have in this is that they don't participate in the lessons. I don't feel that they are actually involved in the teaching process. So I ask myself these questions. Why do my students not participate? Why are they shying away from participating? What type of activity do they like most? And which material will I need to best achieve participation? So my objective in this study is to find ways I can increase my learner participation in the classroom. In order to do so, I used a questionnaire. Firstly, a questionnaire with two parts. The first was aiming at finding students' interest in the lesson. What do they actually like about the lesson? And the second part was about what do students find interesting? What are some of the things that they would like to do so that they would participate? I also introduced the anonymous ballot at mid-stage in order to assess the level of interest of the students. How did they react to the new changes that we had during the lessons? So the results show that as concerns participation, the great majority said that they don't participate because they don't know how to speak English. Their main problem was speaking. So, and as concerns that activities, they say 45% enjoyed more reading, 27% preferred songs, and 18 opted for more role play during the class. When he was talking about the content, what would they like to talk about more? 33% revealed they'd like to talk more about technology. 26 go for sports, and 26 and 30% for tradition and movies, respectively. So as the plan of action in my class, I use explicit content, sometimes subversive images and topics to create speaking, to push them to speak, though they don't have words or anything, and engage also in activities like role play, singing, and reading, so students really feel engaged physically in the activities that we're doing rather than just writing down notes. And also create room for fun and competitive games. Competitive games in the classroom, since they're very young learners and they can't stay in place and do most of the brain. They have to work with their brains, but also work physically so that they feel really involved in the thing. And the results show that learners were really involved more in activities like role play, and they were eager to participate. And the participation levels were particularly high during interactive activities like reading, singing, competing on the board, and role play. So students really enjoyed when they had to do something physical and not only a brain-related activity. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Marisol, do you want me to move straight to the next presenter? You want to say something?
No, Eric, just if you want, we can take advantage of time and we can move with the presenters.
Oh, great. Okay. Ernestine, are you available? Are you ready to?
Yes, Doc, I'm available.
Okay, good. So
Okay.
I'm going to get to your presentation now. No. Great. Can you see the screen clearly now?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good.
I would like to begin by thanking the organizers for the opportunity given me to share my work with others. I am called Ernestine Ayoni, a language teacher in Bisebeleng de Ubala. My work is titled Challenges in Implementing Interactive and Collaborative Activities in My Classroom. I am teaching in a bicultural classroom. 64% of my learners are Francophone and 36 are Anglophones. In order to make my lessons learner-centered, I always carry out classroom activities such as group work, classroom discussion, role play, brainstorming, just to name a few. During such activities, I observe that some of my learners do not interact or participate. And at times, some of them even go as far as hiding under the benches in order not to be called up or assigned to perform a task. With all these challenges, time management became problematic and the lesson objectives were never met. At first, I assumed that these inactive behavior of my learners was due to the fact that both the Anglophone and the Francophone learners use mostly French to communicate both in school and at home. Thus, due to the influence of French, classroom activities could not be very successful. But later on, I discovered that most of these learners can express themselves fluently in English language. This made me feel frustrated and prompted me to reflect on the following questions. Why do my learners not interact and collaborate with their classmates during classroom activities? How do they feel working in groups? And what strategy can I use to optimize participation during classroom activities? To seek answer to these above questions, as methodology, I administer questionnaires to my learners. I had a group discussion with some focus group and an interview with 4 of my learners. From the analysis gathered, I found out that my learners do not feel comfortable working in groups because they lack self-confidence. They are afraid of negative and unproductive feedback from their classmates. They are afraid to make mistakes and they lack motivation. To remediate this problem, my learners and I agreed to organize a class meeting with the objective of building self-confidence in learners and to establish class discipline or class culture that will help to motivate the students to bring out the ability in them. During the meeting, we agreed on classroom culture such as no speaking of French in the English language classroom, no comment or interruption of peers when speaking, no correction of peers when speaking, and we agreed that 30% of the continuous assessment will be based on active participation. After observation for about a month, I observed that classroom activities were very interactive, and learners at times will even want to determine what to learn. They were so involved on the lesson until they want to determine what I am supposed to teach them. And this opportunity was always given to them. This made my lesson to be very, very interesting since I had to bring in games and other aspect that would push the student to talk. Nevertheless, some of these classroom cultures that we came out with were not respected, such as no speaking of French in the English language classroom and correction of peers when talking. This one, I am still struggling to handle this aspect, even though the students are free now to talk, no matter the comments from their classmates. What I've learned as a teacher from this work is that we should never base our judgment based on assumption, and that a positive motivation motivates positive interaction and active interaction amongst learners. Thanks for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Ernestina. Eric, I don't know, your microphone, Eric, would you like to introduce the next presenter, please?
Yeah, so my next presenter here is Mercy William. Mercy teaches in the far north of Cameroon in a typically Muslim community where the need for education has never been felt by students for quite a long period of time. And she went there and has been struggling to find ways of getting the students' interest in English. Mercy, can you tell your story now?
Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Or good afternoon, good morning. My name is Mercy Iwuyum, and I'm from Cameroon. And just as my mentor presented me, I teach in the north region of Cameroon in Lycée Damchedire. And I worked on the topic, investigating ways of increasing students' motivation and use of English in class. Okay, what pushed me to get into this area of study is that the students in class carry out tasks in Arabic. It's a typically Arabic-speaking community, and so the students find themselves bringing Arabic right into the classroom. They also demonstrate efforts only when they have to give, they want to be given examination tips. They also show no interest of getting out of the community. No matter what we try to do, they don't show interest in getting out of the community. They don't dream of going out to other places where they can easily meet English. Um, there's also the aspect of no external stimuli for the study of English, and students don't see why they are learning the language, because outside of the community, it's either you're speaking Arabic or you're speaking English. Okay, those are some of the things which pushed me to ask the questions. How can I change my students' focus from exam-centeredness to language use? What are some effective strategies I can use to increase students' interest in the English classroom? And lastly, what can I do to increase their use of English in the classroom? I had as objectives for this study to investigate strategies that can encourage students to develop interest in the language, to find out ways in which English can be spoken in and out of the classroom, and lastly, to find out ways in which the community can offer support in the English language teaching and learning process. To be able to get data, I used both the quantitative and the qualitative methods in collecting data. I used mainly interviews. Questionnaires were a bit complicated since the students can't read English and understand well. So I used mainly interviews and group discussions. And I also based my work on observation, classroom observation. And I found out at the end that about 90% of the students don't use English or in school. Just 16% of the students sometimes listen to the news in English. Just 6% of the students meet and use English out of the classroom. English to students is also lottery. The language is studied just to try and to pass their exams, and therefore it has no use. I also noticed that students can be motivated to use English in the classroom if they meet the language more out of the classroom. I also found out as well that students are lazy, they don't carry out research, and if students are positively reinforced, then they can be able to use more language. Okay, my plan of action, I had a plan of action based on myself. I had to work on myself because the students said I have to try to really motivate them, because when they just a clap for a good answer in class encourages students to talk more. And there's also the aspect of positive reinforcement, giving them points, little marks, extra marks, 0.5, 0.25, 1 mark in class, and they get to speak, they try to speak the language. Also, I got the students to work on their vocabulary, to be able to master vocabulary, especially for each module. Um, I also got the students to uh, 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 on their own part to carry out research. I made them to look to try to have dictionaries and to bring them to the classroom. And seriously, this is working. Some students have really shown the interest, and when they come to class and some words are difficult, they try to get the equivalent in the second language, which is French, and they try to understand and use the words properly. Another thing which has worked very well for me is group work. I don't neglect that in class. I try to use it, especially for the senior senior classes. That is for my premier classes in the high school. I try to use it, and I also got into the aspect of the rule of no English during no French during my class, no Arabic during my class. And that is working very well for me, because it's making the students to be very conscious of the fact that they are in an English classroom and they ought to use the language for communication. There are many other things, but I would like to end there. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mercy. The last of my mentees on this program is Lillian. Sorry. Lillian Nunyonga, Community Research Group. Lillian has been struggling to leave the classroom to come to where she can have access to network, be able to make this presentation. I remember in the morning she told me she had to teach before coming back to where she can have network. So Lillian, you're welcome on the platform, please.
Good afternoon, everyone, and Doc, thank you so much for this opportunity. Now, I had to really struggle to be here, but I'm happy being around. Okay, my topic is maximizing the use of English language in classroom interaction during my lessons. I think my students always interact in their mother tongue and French during my lessons, and attempts at causing them to try to speak English always fails. I find this sometimes really frustrating, given that their progress in English is very slow, and I feel sometimes that I feel like I'm wasting my time because they don't seem to improve after all the time and effort I put in. For this reason, I ask the following questions. What strategies can I use to maximize my learners' use of English during my lessons? And secondly, apart from spoken English, what other variables can I use to improve my learners' interaction during my classroom, during my lessons? And for this, in order to find out what hinders my students from participating actively during my lessons, I decided to design some interview questions. I decided to design some interview questions, and without making it obligatory, I called my students during break to another classroom, and I was quite impressed with the turnout. More than 90% of the students were present. And during the interview, we did it through group discussions, and I equally encouraged the students to speak in whatever language they were comfortable with. Some spoke in English, but the majority of them spoke in French. I had the following questions. So why do students not participate during my classroom lessons? The second question is, why do students prefer to respond to questions in French instead of English? And thirdly, what would you suggest I do to maximize the use of English during lessons? And as students gave down their points, I decided to write down the suggestions under the following themes. The first I had was comprehension problems. I realized that students don't participate during lessons because of comprehension problems. Some complain that they don't understand when I speak in class. I quote what one of the students says: I don't really understand all what the teacher says in class unless someone translates in French, or unless the teacher uses gestures and pictures. So the second problem the students explained was the environmental problem. They said being in a rural Francophone area where English is not often used, students scarcely speak English except when they are in school. And this renders the acquisition process very slow and almost ineffective. You know, considering the fact that language, we acquire language better when we speak, but these students don't get to speak, so that makes it very difficult for them. So some said, we barely get people speak English on the streets, offices, and market. So whatever we learn in class remains there. He said, I am used to speaking French and my mother tongue to my friends and classmates. So communicating in English appears to be bizarre or odd. All right, the third point I had was the background problem. I equally realized that some students have a weak proficiency because of their purely rural background, where they have little or no exposure to English. In addition to this, English is taught just for 3 hours per week. This makes the time they spend speaking English very limited. And if measures are not taken to improve this situation, some learners will definitely remain or will definitely be low proficient learners. And fourthly, we had the problem of anxiety. That's anxiety problem. Realize that some students feel embarrassed, ashamed, intimidated when they speak English. Some gave the following response. They say, when I struggle to speak English and make mistakes, my classmates laugh at me. This discourages me. Another one says, sometimes my friends call me by the errors I make during lessons. So I realized that when students speak and they make mistakes and they are embarrassed or laughed at by their friends, it makes them to become timid and they are not able or they are not willing to participate again in class during lessons. And now these are the results. I got now the following results. This is what I learned now from there. Or these are the suggestions that the students gave. The students told me that the student said, if they are not reprimanded or laughed at during lessons, it will actually motivate them to speak more or to participate better in class. And I equally realize that sometimes I get to reprimand students when they speak or when they are timid. So I realized that that was equally a fault on my part, and that I rather have to encourage them and motivate them so that they'll participate better during lessons. And then equally, I went ahead to realize that another method that I can bring about to increase participation during my lesson is by using dialogues related to daily conversations among classmates, teachers, students, at home between parents and children, siblings, etc. And then if they're used to doing role play with these dialogues, it will make them, it will facilitate their communication, and it also motivate them to participate in class. Then next, I equally realize that students feel great when they are motivated while they're speaking or during writing lessons. For example, when they use words like good girl, correct, excellent, good response, that motivates students and it makes them to feel like participating irrespective of their age. Because sometimes we always think that it is that those things work only for students that are in the lower classes. But I teach in a terminal class, and I realized that when I motivate students, even at that age, who are just about going to university, they feel equally so excited. Then I realized that when I use gestures, pictures, real objects in introducing words and expressions in class, students understand better. For example, when I want to teach equipment in the kitchen, vocabulary about equipment in the kitchen, sometimes I carry some plates, cook spoon, etc., and I present in class. I see that students are so much excited, and that they retain it, they don't get to forget easily. So with this, I applied this in my class last year and equally this year, and I realized that the performance of the students have greatly increased. Last year, I had about 52% in performance, but I realized that this first term, I had about 60–70% in the performance, which shows that students have greatly improved because of the new methods of motivation that are put forth in order to increase my classroom interaction. Thank you.
Marisol, I'm done with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Lillian. Thank you, all the presenters. Great experiences. Well, we have taken more time than the 4 minutes planned, but well, I think that sometimes understanding the research context is important for us to see different circumstances and realities. Thank you very much, all of you presenters. great and interesting works. So now the breakout rooms are open. You can select the one that you want to interact with. They are named with the researcher's name. Back. Welcome back. Very, very interesting small talks. Great opportunities for us to share, to know more about the context. I really appreciate your sharing, your enthusiasm, your efforts. Congratulations for all presenters, because through our questions and comments, we have discovered sometimes how hard it is to come to the target in the classroom. Everyday efforts are amazing. And yes, as we said, different conditions, well, sometimes are hard to cope with, but I was impressed, yes, how amazingly you are working with your students. It's clear that you love teaching, and that is fantastic. You know, that's so inspiring. Thank you very much for this experience. Okay, so now in the minutes left, I would like all presenters share with us about his experience or her experience today. And if you want to comment something about this breaking out room interaction, is great, yes, in order to wrap up this session. In the end, well, Eric, you can give us your feeling of this experience. So, Sandra, would you like to start sharing with us? What about your learning today?
Okay, I would like to thank you, the organizers and all, for this amazing opportunity for us to learn more about teaching and discovering things that we didn't think we were able to do with our students in class. Today, I really learned the cultural diversity. I learned about classrooms in different countries, and also learned that the same problems that I face here, others are still facing them, and the way they deal with them are really innovative, and I'm looking forward to applying them also. I'm really grateful for the opportunity and everything that I learned. And I would like to thank everyone here for their input, the input during this session. I really enjoyed the break room because it was really interesting, and we discovered things about each other that we didn't think were normal outside. So I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Sandra. Great work. It's amazing to see how to do 62 children. Wow, fantastic. Thank you. Okay, Ernestine, would you like to share with us your experience? Sorry, Ernestine, please, your microphone.
Oh,
thank you.
Sorry for that. Okay, I wish to thank the organizers for the opportunity given to me to share my work and to learn from others. I've learned a lot about classroom interaction, how you can make your classroom fun-filled, and how you can involve your learners to actively take part in activities. And in the break room, I really enjoy it. It's something that I've discovered about technology just today. And I want to thank I have learned about books that can help me to really improve on my teaching and the teaching learning process as a whole. So I just want to say thank you very much for everything.
Thank you, Ernestine. A part of networking, yes, sharing materials is amazing because we can even learn more. Thank you. And then we have Mercy. Would you like to share your experience with us?
Yes, sure. First, I'd like to thank you very much for the opportunity given me to be able to share work. I would like to thank especially my mentor, our mentor, Dr. Eric Ikembe. He really pushed us, and sometimes it felt like giving up and letting this go, but he kept on pushing us, and here we are today presenting and meeting new people from all around the world. And I want to say this has really been an interesting session. I have enjoyed myself and I have learned through this. I have been able to discover other things about other places, and to know that even though we face these issues here in Cameroon, it is not only in Cameroon. The classroom problems that we face are the same everywhere. It's just that our terrain and the students we face are different, and so the strategies we use are different. So this is an opportunity which has really blessed me or increased me, and both in the use of technology, meeting other people, knowing how to go about many other things. So I'm really grateful. I'm really glad for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mercy. We are glad to hear you and to hear your fantastic about your fantastic work. Okay, Lilian, if you are ready, would you like to share your experience with us, please?
It looks like Lillian experienced some difficulties. I've been trying to reach her and to no avail. I tried calling, so I would try to find out what happened. But she seems to be in some difficult situation right now and can't join again.
Yes, Eric, please.
Yeah. So do you think I can say something? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. These stories. In the other sessions, I got a lot of stories from wonderful work that is being done in India, and one of the things which I'm coming to terms with is that apparently the classroom problems are common, like Mercy said, but it seems as if the solutions are not going to be common too. And I started asking myself this question: if the classroom problems are common, probably we'll have to start looking at what we mean by context in challenges. What does context mean in challenges? If the problems are common, what is it that will make one context different from the other if the challenges are common? So it's a kind of thing which we may have to start reflecting on as far as teacher research is concerned. The other thing which I want to say is most often in things like this, presentations like this, we see the results. The results are fantastic. The presenters are hilarious, but we forget the process. The teachers we have teaching in over 60 a classroom of 60 students and above, and with limited resources, no access to technology, and with very weak salaries. And then they are not recognized for professional development activities. And then they get engaged in teacher research just to have expertise, and which ends at that level. Okay, I can do this. Nobody recognizes. So I think this platform, like my mentee said, is a wonderful opportunities for teachers to reinvent themselves and to feel like even though at home I'm not recognized, at least someone knows that I am doing this and can give me a pat on my back for this. So I'm by this saying, Ashley, it's a wonderful opportunity you guys have created for teachers. And I'm sure that if we have to play this video in Cameroon, next time you have 10 more teachers from Cameroon sharing their experience.
Yes, it is a real fantastic activity. You have said exactly what is happening. Sometimes, unfortunately, our efforts are not regionally recognized, but I think we all see, yes, that heart that we work with, yeah, for teaching. We love teaching, and I think that is a very important and common characteristic I have seen in all participants, and that is inspiring. Indeed, because sometimes we are worried about the cognitive part, the affective part, interaction, things like that, but the human aspect is important too. This morning here in Mexico, this afternoon or evening has been so fruitful in that way. I think It is our space for sharing and recognizing each other with the efforts and fantastic work we are all doing. Lillian is here. I don't know if you want to share with us your impressions today, Lillian. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I think it was quite enriching. And in fact, it's always a great honor to participate because I get to learn a bit from the other teachers. And I think today was really, it was exceptional because I was able to let members present. And I learned a lot of things from Mercy, from Ernestine, from the others. And even from those moderating, it was really great. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Lillian. We have enjoyed your presentation and everybody's. And well, Bill is so kind today. He's sharing with us very, very interesting, in this case, I think the suggestion for a journal. Yes.
Yeah.
Would you like to comment something, Bill, before we leave? Your microphone, Bill.
Yeah, I'm connected with CLILA Journal, which is children's literature and English teaching. And we really need research reports from outside of Europe and dealing with challenging circumstances, especially about using picture books. And picture books, you know, are one kind, these 32-page books. There are so many of them that in the somewhat wealthier countries, you know, kids have them reading at home and learn how to read even before kindergarten. But look at CLILA Journal. It's an open access. You know, you don't have to pay to publish and you don't have to pay to read. And that's important and in itself a paradigm because many journals, you can't even open them on internet. And another journal I'm connected with, I can put the in the chat, although it's somewhat different, is a journal for critical education policy in language teaching. And I'm trying to think of the internet. Anyhow, it's a critical education policy in language teaching that looks more for critical awareness language teaching and empirical, yeah, I'll give you the jceps.com. And that is www or htt. And jceps.com is a very widespread book, a journal rather, that has great readership. And we were getting articles from Iran on teaching more critical awareness in the classroom. It's that sort of thing. Now, critical awareness is a sensitive topic. You know, what can you criticize? What can't you criticize? And in countries different, even in the US at this point, talking about race is a big problem for teachers. And even in a mixed classroom, racially mixed. And the JCEPS, we get a lot of articles and we peer review them. It's a peer reviewed journal. And, you know, it's a worldwide read journal. You see it yourself. And it's very, very well edited from Brighton in the UK. And there are a lot of interesting ideas there. I'm a peer reviewer. So in fact, if you wrote something, it might come onto my rather
Bill,
old...
thanks a lot. And Marisol, we've got very little time. Would you like to wrap it up?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Bill. Thank you very much for sharing. Very interesting, very fruitful. Yes, we can find out many things here. And well, our time is over. I want to thank all of you. I do appreciate, I think we all appreciate all these sharing, these comments. It's so inspiring to have a space like that. Thank you very much. A big hug from Mexico. Keep working, because the question is, what is next? Research is opening doors widely. Thank you very much for your participation. Have an excellent morning, afternoon, evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you very much, Marisol and Astrid. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank you so much.